We help monarchs survive in a changing environment. Are you ready? Grab your pencil and your science journal, and let's get started. Imagine you are a monarch butterfly flying south across the United States in the fall. Your wings flap furiously. For months, you fly through state after state and finally reach the forest in Mexico, where you will spend the winter. This bar graph shows the estimated number of monarch butterflies in Mexico during winter from 1993 through 2017. What do you notice? I noticed that some years have more monarchs than others, but the number of monarchs seem to decrease over time. Oh no, because monarchs migrate back from Mexico to the United States in the spring, the number of monarchs in the United States must decrease as well. I wonder, why aren't there as many monarchs now as there were before? What causes the number of monarchs to decrease? Could something be happening to the monarch habitats so that the butterflies no longer have a place to live? Can we find a way to help monarchs survive? Before we can help these monarch butterflies, we need to understand why their numbers are declining. Let's read an article entitled Wing Mysteries by Jacqueline Adams to help us understand what's happening to these butterflies. As I read, raise your hand if you hear a threat to the monarch butterflies. A threat is something that makes it hard for the monarch butterflies to survive. Ready? Let's read. 3 or 4 generations of monarchs hatch over the warm spring and summer months, but they live as butterflies only about a month. The generation of monarchs that emerge from their chrysalis as fall approaches is different. They can live 8 or 9 months. This is long enough to make their amazing journey and begin the return trip in the spring. To complete the cycle, each generation of butterflies must fly in a different direction to an unfamiliar place. In Mexico, many trees have been cut by farmers who need wood for fuel and room for crops to feed their families. Gaps left in the forest let in rain and snow that can kill butterflies. On the other side of the Rocky Mountains, monarchs spend the winter in California. In winter months, these monarchs live on land in California that's valuable to developers. Monarchs on both sides of the Rockies face another threat. They lay their eggs on milkweed plants because monarch caterpillars eat only milkweed leaves. But farmers, road crews, and others spread herbicides that destroy milkweed. Wow, monarchs face a lot of threats to their survival. Which threats did you notice? When did you raise your hand? Now that I've seen this bar graph and read this article, I really want to help these butterflies. But how can we help? Well, scientists and engineers use a process called the engineering design process to create solutions to problems. Do you think we can use the same process to help monarchs survive? When scientists face a challenge such as helping monarch butterflies, they start by asking questions to define the problem. This is called the ask stage of the engineering design process. How would you define the problem the monarchs face? Let's think about the article that we read. We'll answer some questions about threats to monarch butterflies to help us identify the problem. Ready? Which threats did we hear about in the article? A, deforestation or cutting down trees in winter living areas. B, development by humans. C, loss of milkweed due to herbicides or chemicals that kill weeds. Or D, weather such as rain or snow. If you said A, B, C, and D, you're right. We learned about all 4 of these threats in the article. Let's answer another question about threats to monarchs. Which threats could humans minimize to protect the number of monarchs? A, B, and C are all correct. Deforestation, development by humans, and loss of milkweed are all threats that humans can help with. The threats from weather is a natural threat that humans can't control. Let's look more carefully at the effects of these human-made threats to monarch butterflies. One threat is deforestation, which means cutting down trees. Trees protect the butterflies from the rain and snow. Without the trees, they don't have that protection. Another human-made threat we read about is development by humans. Development occurs when people build houses, roads, stores, and other structures. Development can change or destroy natural environments. As a result of development, there isn't enough space and food for monarchs. We are removing what they need to survive from the environment. The last human-made threat we read about is loss of milkweed. Because people use herbicides that destroy milkweed, less milkweed is available for butterflies to eat and to lay their eggs on, so fewer butterflies will return to Mexico. We were trying to define one problem, but we identified 3 factors that can cause the number of monarchs to decrease. Wait a minute. These 3 factors seem related in some way. Your task after this lesson will be to identify what these 3 factors have in common. Okay, so now that we've defined a few problems, where do we go next? After we define the problem, or in our case, problems, we need to identify the criteria and constraints. Criteria are the requirements or what is needed for solving the problem. Constraints are the limitations we face in solving the problem. Next, we'll move on to the imagine stage. In the imagine stage, we'll conduct research to learn more about the problem, brainstorm possible solutions, and select a solution to explore. In the imagine stage, we will imagine what we can do to help increase the number of monarch butterflies. Then in the plan stage, we'll begin to generate a detailed design and gather the materials we need. In the plan stage, our creativity can really shine as we draw our ideas and design possible solutions. Then we'll move to the create stage, where we will follow the plan to build a prototype or a working model to test and evaluate the design before we make our final solution. In the create stage, our designs become real. In the improve stage, we'll reevaluate the design and materials and redesign our prototype to improve it. Often our first design doesn't work perfectly, and that's okay. Improving the solution is a part of the process. Finally, in the share stage, we'll document and present our ideas to others to receive feedback and support. Maybe we can share our plan with a friend, a family member, or someone in the community. And maybe some of those people can help us increase the number of monarch butterflies. Although we talk about the engineering design process in stages, it's actually more like a web than a step-by-step process. Engineers can move from one stage to any other stage in the process depending on what they need to do. Engineers use what they learn in one stage to revise the work they did in any other stage. Engineers often imagine, plan, create, and improve their designs many times before they share a design or prototype with colleagues. In our next lesson, we'll consider the problem we identified and move through the ask, imagine, and plan stages of the engineering design process to help these monarch butterflies survive and thrive. Let's review your task for today. Answer the question about what the problems we identified have in common.